my channel. Today I have some more Christmas DIYs. I'll be showing you how I use Minwax's Polycrylic to transfer an image onto some of the standing Dollar Tree signs. This was my first time using this transfer method, and I think by doing it a few more times I'll definitely have it perfected. But I really love how the signs that I did turned out. If you guys want to see how I did my transfer, then just keep watching. Today I'm going to be making two standing Christmas signs, this square "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" sign, and also this rectangle "Countdown Days Until Christmas" sign. The products I'll be using today are this square standing sign from Dollar Tree. I'll also be using this rectangle standing sign from Dollar Tree, a flipped "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" image I created on my computer, and also a flipped "Days Until Christmas" image, Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, Decor art chalk paint in the color lace, folk art chalk paint in the color Java and also in the color castle, Martha Stewart chalkboard paint in the color arrowhead, paintbrushes, my hot glue gun, scissors, jute, a sponge brush, Minwax Polycrylic, a toothbrush, and a small bowl of water. I'm starting out by taking the hangers on my signs off. I'm using my scissors to just pop them off. Then I'm painting the inside of my square shaped sign with my chalk paint in the color lace, and I did have to do 3 coats of this. Once I have my inside all painted, then I'm taking my chalk paint in the color ink and I'm painting that around all of the outside edges and then also on the inside edges of my square as well. I'm taking my time when painting against that lace color paint so that I don't have to go back and do any touch-ups later on. Once my paint has all dried, I'm then taking my lace color paint and I'm dry brushing that around all of the edges and the outside of my square to distress it a little bit. Next, I'm distressing the back of my square using my Java colored chalk paint, and I'm just dry brushing this on. Now I'm cutting down my image so that it will fit down inside of my square. Next up, I'm using a sponge brush to apply a thin layer of the polycrylic on the back of my square. Once I have my poly all applied, I'm then taking my cut down image and I'm placing it print side down in the center of my square. I'm then using my fingers to push the paper and the image down into the poly, and I'm trying to push out as many bubbles as I possibly can. After I have everything all pressed in, I'm setting this sign aside for about an hour or two until the poly is completely dried. After my poly has dried, I'm then using a toothbrush to apply some water to my paper, and I'm using the brush to scrub all of the paper off. And it does take a little bit of scrubbing to get the paper off, but as you can see here, it's worth it because it has transferred the image right onto my surface. This was the first time that I've ever tried this transfer method, and I noticed that as I scrubbed more and more with my toothbrush that the black ink color started to turn a yellowish green. Now I'm not sure if that's because I had a painted surface, but from my understanding the transfer ink is supposed to stay black, so just keep that in mind if you do this project. Since my ink color did change, I decided I wanted to have a different color frame than just the black, so here I'm taking my castle color chalk paint and heavily distressing around all of the edges. You could leave the sign just like this, but I decided I wanted to add some jute around the edges, so here I'm just measuring around all 4 edges of my sign, cutting my jute down to size, and then hot gluing all of them on. And that was the last step for this sign. Now I'll be showing you how I did my Countdown Days Until Christmas sign. I've already removed my hanger, and now I'm taking my chalk paint in the color lace and I'm painting this on the inside of my rectangle, and I did have to do 3 coats. Now I'm painting my castle color chalk paint along all of the outer and inner edges of my rectangle. When I'm doing the inner edges, I'm being really careful so I don't have to go back and touch up any paint. Once my paint has dried, I'm then taking my Java colored paint and I'm dry brushing that along all of the outer edges to distress it. I'm also using that Java color to distress the inside of my rectangle on top of that lace color that I had painted on, just like I did with my first sign. After I have everything all painted and distressed, I'm then using my sponge brush to apply a thin layer of that polycrylic right on the back of my rectangle. I already have my image cut down to size, and now I'm placing it right in the center of my rectangle and then using my fingers to press the paper and the writing on the image right into that polycrylic. Just like my other sign, I let the poly sit for about an hour or two to completely dry before I took my toothbrush with some water and started wetting the paper down. I was able to peel a lot of it off with my fingers, and anything that was left over, I just scrubbed it off with the toothbrush. Again, this is my first time using this transfer method, and as I continued to scrub all of the paper off, I noticed that my letters started to turn that yellowish green color once again. So I'm not sure if that's because I have the painted surface, so I'll be trying this on unfinished wood to see how that turns out. And it did take off some of my lettering, so here I'm just using a Sharpie and writing over all of my letters since I did want them to be black anyways. Overall, I think this is a really great transfer method. I just need to work with it a little bit to get it perfected. I decided I wanted my words to be a little distressed looking, so I'm dry brushing my chalk paint in the color Lace right over top of all of the words. Next, I'm painting on my Martha Stewart chalkboard paint in a rectangle shape right next to the word days. I am freehanding this, so I'm being slow and taking my time when painting on the rectangle, and I did only do one coat. You could leave the sign just like this, but I decided I wanted to add a buffalo check double bow at the top, so here I'm making my double bow. I wrapped my ribbon around my two fingers twice, then I'm taking the outer strand of ribbon and pulling it through the hole between my two fingers closest to my hand. Then I'm taking that same piece of ribbon and the loop that I had just made on the bottom finger, I'm pulling the ribbon right through that and pulling it really tight. Here I'm fixing the loops on my bows and then just cutting off any of the long pieces of ribbon on my ends. For the very last step, I'm attaching my bow with some hot glue on the very top edge of my sign. And this is my finished Days Until Christmas sign. I really love how it turned out, even though I had a few little issues with my transfer. I like trying new things when I do my DIYs to make them a little bit different and maybe better than the last. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps out my channel. If you're not subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Thank you so much for watching.